Hello everybody. We all love WX-78, don't we? So let's have them suffer. Today I'm going to be seeing how long I can survive during a permanent monsoon season in Don't Starve Together as WX-78, courtesy of the Island Adventures mod. So where do we begin with explaining this? Monsoon season is a magical time of year found in the Don't Starve Shipwrecked world where torrential rain pelts the golden sands and blue seas of this tropical paradise. And I mean pelts it. The rain is unlike anything you'll ever find in the regular Don't Starve world. So much so that it introduces a new mechanic in the game known as flooding, where tiles of water can accumulate on the ground everywhere, massively increasing your wetness if you're inside of them, and causing most structures to malfunction if they end up getting flooded. Iceboxes will fizzle out and turn off, science machines will break down and no longer let you prototype, and my precious rainometer will stop working. Wetness itself is a silent killer in this game. Low levels of wetness don't do much, but the higher it gets, the more nightmarish things will start to get. Your tools will get wet, letting them slip out of your hands, your fuel will become sodden with water, making them burn way less, your food will rot way faster when flushed with water, and the biggest killer of all, your equipped items will drain your sanity very, very fast. Finding wetness protection is an absolute must, especially during monsoon season. And if that wasn't enough for you, all of the flooding that happens will also spawn mosquitoes on occasion that are really, really annoying and dangerous to most other survivors. Sounds like a lovely time of year, doesn't it? Well, that's not the end of it. I will be challenging myself even more by only playing as WX-78. Now don't get me wrong, it's not like WX is a bad character by any means. In fact, they are pretty darn good, with their cool circuits that allow you to customize yourself to your liking and their immunity to poison. But they have one drastic downside that will really push the limits of this playthrough. WX, in case you don't know, is vulnerable to water damage. If that little wetness meter fills up past that indicator, we'll start taking heavy damage over time and discharge any cool upgrades we have inserted, on top of all of the other issues wetness will bring up that I mentioned earlier. The wetter we get, the faster we perish, in a world where being sopping wet isn't a promise but a guarantee. Water from above and a sea down below. This should be a fun challenge. My goal for this series is to see how long I can survive by seeing how long it takes until I can forge a sustainable living plan. A way to guarantee myself survival in this damp world with a fancy little base and a way to coexist harmlessly with the life-threatening monsoons. All the while sailing from island to island to secure our future. We'll be playing with the Island Adventures mod linked in the description, which allows you to play Shipwrecked in the comfort of Don't Starve Together, with a whole boatload of new features and mechanics specifically designed to tailor the gameplay of the ST to the gameplay of Shipwrecked. I'll go over them more as they need mentioning later in this video, but expect to see brand new things such as, oh geez, I don't know, new circuits specifically for WX-78. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and like the video if you end up doing so, but no pressure, only if you like it. And yes, we're hosting yet another giveaway on the Discord, and I did indeed hide more codes in this video. Good luck, you're gonna need it. With all of that out of the way, let's dive on in, shall we? Welcome to monsoon season. Forever. Once we step out of the gorgeous new florid Poston design cooked up by the Island Adventures team, I immediately hop into action gathering all basic resources that I can. Grass, rocks, twigs, all sorts, you know the deal by now. But despite being in a rush, I did notice Jimmy, my little scanner robot, take interest in a nearby jellyfish almost right away. So with the log raft you spawn with in Island Adventures, I let my little robot scan the jellyfish to get some biometric data, as well as the know-how to make an electrocution circuit. Right away. This helpful upgrade will give us the ability to electrify our enemies should we make it. But that's not something we should care about when we really need to prepare for the torrential rainstorm, so I hop back on land and get back to gathering resources. The starting beach in Shipwrecked is always abundant with all basic materials, even more so than the standard starting biomes in the regular world, including these crates that we can smash open for some refined materials. They'll be dotted all over the starting island, so I always make sure to keep my eyes peeled for them. After I scanned the butterfly for some more data, dusk already hit us, so I took my trusty lumbering axe I made earlier to murk some snakes. They have really low health and are super easy to kite, but only get us monster meat right now. Snakes in Shipwrecked are incredibly important for the skin that they can drop, especially during monsoon season, so it's best we focus on getting any snakes we can whenever we can. But for now, we just need more materials. As Shipwrecked goes, there's a whole lot more stuff you need to collect than in regular Don't Starve Together, such as palm fronds, vines, bamboo, and that snakeskin that I mentioned earlier that I managed to finally cop. On top of all of the regular things we need for survival, including food. This means for us, our inventory is already absolutely overfilled with junk, and since we won't find the gold to make a science machine on this island, we gotta get really crafty with things. That involves chopping down some palm trees. Not for their delicious coconut halves that we can get by hacking them with a machete, but for the palm fronds that they can occasionally drop. With these, on the dawn of day 2, we're able to make ourselves a very tiny but decently useful palm backpack to ease our burdens a tiny amount. Once I gathered all of the materials I think I would need, including stuff such as a boat repair kit from random beach detritus, I hopped on the wooden raft we placed on day 1 and started sailing. Now our main goal is to find some gold as soon as we can. Gold will mean we'll be able to make science machines and alchemy engines, which will in turn let us make all sorts of important things. But the most notable thing we want to make is rain protection equipment. Since this is monsoon season, eventually we're going to get pelted with ungodly amounts of rain that will kill us very fast. So essentially we're on a race against time to find gold and procure that rain protection equipment, lest the rain sends us back to the character selection screen. I do find an island right away, but it's just a little sandbank with nothing but piles of sand, palm trees, and the seaworthy thing that we can potentially use to go back to regular Don't Starve Together, if I ever plan on setting that up. Sadly, this means this island is useless to us now, except this skeleton that I hammered, so I get back to sailing, making sure to ride any waves I can to get that lovely little speed boost. While sailing around, I do find a steamer trunk with a few gold doubloons inside. I also find a giant, evil, scary looking dorsal fin right next to me, so I make sure to get away from that as soon as I got there. Might be useful to keep in mind for much later on, however. For now though, more sailing until I come across a coral reef. This is going to be our source of coral when we need it, but it's also populated by these rainbow jellyfish, which I can then scan with Jimmy to learn the recipe to make an illumination circuit. An upgrade that will give us the ability to glow in the dark, a super useful upgrade. To make this thing, we'll need an alive rainbow jellyfish, and we have no way as of right now to catch them alive, so it's back to sailing for us. Again though, it's good to keep that in mind. Right before night hit us, however, so did the blunt side of a wave. This damaged our boat slightly, but even worse, it got us decently wet. Wet enough to push us over the limit to start taking damage and discharging. Thankfully, we weren't getting any more wet since it wasn't raining, and the sparks flying off us did mean we could survive being in pure darkness. But we did end up taking a decent chunk of damage thanks to that and the draining of our entire battery. Thankfully, we didn't have any upgrades to lose, but this shows us just how dangerous even a tiny bit of water can be for WX-78. We gotta get wetness protection before it starts raining, and fast. On day 3, we came across another little rinky-dink sand island, with an absolute buttload of palm trees and a fuzzy looking pig. Sadly, we're not in the market for fuzzy looking pigs, so away I went yet again. Nearby a close mangrove biome, I did find a message in a bottle, which ever so helpfully pointed us to where the octopus trader king bloke thing whose name I forgot is currently at. A really welcome and cool change by the Island Adventure team, thank you so much for this. We have no use for the guy right now, but it's always good to know where he is early on. What we do have use for now though, is a whole new island to explore. This one has the aforementioned mangrove, a rainforest filled with silly monkeys, and a big old area populated by killer bees. Well, every bee is a killer bee in nature, since monsoon season also functions as spring, in a way, where bees are always red and aggressive. Besides that though, this island did have some berry bushes on it. We can't relocate them right now since we don't have a shovel, but we can still harvest them and eat the berries to fill up our stomach. Right now we have no way to grow, save, and even prepare our own food, so all of our nourishment is coming from just foraging whatever we can find. It will keep us fed, for now at least. But besides all of that, still no gold on this island. Before we can get set up at all, we're gonna need at least one chunk of the stuff. So it's yet again back to island hopping for us. We found a cute little donut shaped island with nothing on it, as well as a tiny rainforest to crash the night on whilst I gathered bamboo and picked flowers. Both to keep our dwindling sanity from dropping, but also because I plan to make a parasol with it, only to then find out the parasol in Shipwrecked also needs palm fronds, of which we have none. Oh well. Day 4, welcome. It's still not raining yet, which for a challenge all about monsoon season is a wee bit odd. I suspect this monsoon kind of functions like the hurricane does in hurricane season, where it comes in ever increasing waves. Either way, I'm thankful for the hefty grace period we're being given, even if it does kind of feel like cheating in a way. None of that matters, because we finally found our first and only gold boulder. I crack that thing open, make a science machine right away, unbox some buckled shoes, and then kill some bees and butterflies for some reason. I guess I was just really hungry. My bad. I upgrade that tiny backpack into a proper one, and our ramshackle log raft into a proper rowboat. Now, we're no longer trundling around the ocean with no inventory at a snail's pace. Lovely stuff. Sadly right now, we can't really make anything else of this science machine, so we get back to island hopping and scavenging to hopefully make a future moving forward. Nighttime did land whilst I was out sailing though, and I foolishly did get chomped on by Charlie. Whilst you're on a boat, if you don't have a sail on that boat, you will put away any handheld item slot items to row. So that means using a torch can be rather finicky if you don't stand still occasionally. Fortunately though, it was only our boat that took the damage, and I was able to safely huddle a big brain coral until day 5 blessed us. Keep note of where this brain coral is by the way, this stuff is super duper valuable later on. You will need to remind me because I will forget. We do finally find a new island that isn't tiny, however. This one has a big ugly poisonous mire on it, and connected to that poisonous mire is a jungle populated by this old geezer. Yep, Island Adventures also ports his own skeletal version of Jimbo onto these beautiful islands. Sadly, I only have time to play one hand of cards since I'm still terrified of the rain turning up, but it's super cool knowing we can still play Balatro even in Shipwrecked. What a time to be alive. As well as Jimbo Balatro, this island also has a bunch of spider dens on it, but most important of all, the volcanic beach biome whose name I've also forgotten. This place is packed with all sorts of boulders, as well as these rock piles we can dig up once we have a shovel. This means we now have an excellent source of rocks, gold, and even twigs. We just gotta make sure to avoid all of the spiders and toolbirds whenever we're here. With all of these rocks and gold nuggets, I think it's about time we sort out a proper base. So right after I kill a snake for some more skin, I hop back on my boat and sail back to the science machine that we made earlier. Throughout the night I gather a bunch of wood, finally making that shovel, and when day 6 arrives, pre-craft that alchemy engine we'll need for so many lovely crafts in the future. I also make myself a snakeskin jacket, our first and only option when it comes to wetness protection right now, using the snakeskin I gathered early in the run and the bones we got from that skeleton near the Seaworthy. Due to it being a chest slot item, we can't wear it over our backpack, so for now we'll just keep a hold of it whenever we need it. All that's left now is to finally find a place to live. But before that, we gotta do something really important. I row myself over to the Bullfin Palace and get Jimmy to scan one of the little fellas relaxing outside. This teaches us a completely brand new circuit type added just for island adventures, the waterproofing circuit. I don't need to tell you exactly why this is going to be incredibly important for us when it finally decides to rain. However, to make one of these things, it needs... I'm sorry, poor Bullfin. Except I'm not sorry for long, because that big old shark we saw earlier in the run took notice of our crime and tried to eat me. That scared the genuine heck out of me, I'm not gonna lie. Fortunately for us though, we got our dorsal fin and I crafted it into the waterproofing circuit upgrade. This won't make us completely waterproof because that will nullify the entire challenge, but it will definitely help in ways that I'll show you once the rain finally decides to turn up. For now, I just dig up a bunch of sand on a nearby island, since we're going to need this stuff to help waterproof our eventual base. Speaking of eventually, I did also check out the Yarctopus, that was his name, to see that he offers some unique trades in this mod, giving us sources of formerly Don't Starve Together exclusive items, like salt, dock kits, and even surprising seeds, for the cost of seafood related items and a lot of doubloons. Nothing we can really purchase right now, sadly. It's still really cool that they ported it over. Nearby that guy, I also notice a tar slick, a very convenient find that we'll cash in on very soon. However, I decided to head back to that starty island. Normally, I'm not the kind of guy to make my base right on the spawn, but I decided with its abundant resources and good position near some useful stuff on the ocean, it would make for an excellent base spot all around. So right after I dug up some buried treasure I found via a bottle earlier containing a life-healing amulet and a dark sword, we got started on our base with the arrival of day 7. I set up our alchemy engine near the coast, and with it crafted our first set of boat upgrades. A torch for the front, and a sail to keep our hands free whilst we speed around the sea. Things are really finally starting to get going. With my new souped out boat, I headed over to that coral reef we found a few days ago to get some coral for limestone. Until... it finally started raining. 7 days into the actual challenge. Well, it's better late than never, I presume. Thankfully, we had that waterproofing circuit we made earlier, which on top of providing a little bit of innate wetness protection, pushes up the quote-unquote threshold at which we start taking water damage. This means we can go on a little bit longer before we start fatally discharging, which sounds disgusting. Why did I write that in the script? It'll help us stay relatively safe during a drizzle like this one, but it does mean we have to delta back to the base in case things get worse, and finally test out our snakeskin jacket. It, combined with the wetness protection circuit, is enough to keep us completely dry, but the fact that the snakeskin jacket takes a chest slot isn't the most desirable. We'll make something better later on, probably. Thankfully, the rain died out as fast as it started, and we managed to turn that little bit of coral that we got before it started raining into limestone for a chimneya. Basically a fire pit that won't get put out by the wind or rain. Or flooding. Since after that first taste of the monsoon, we are now finally starting to see the biggest danger this season provides: flooding. These puddles are going to start forming all over the world, rapidly increasing our wetness if we're within them and waterlogging any structures they happen to encroach on, disabling them. That means it's about time we put all that sand I dug up to use and make sandbags to stop the impending flood. On top of those sandbags, I also put some wood flooring around the base, which itself won't stop the water from spreading, but it should prevent flood tiles from spawning directly on the base. Plus, more importantly, it makes the base look nice. So with our base starting to take shape, we have a new objective. Make sure our base stays our base and doesn't get flooded completely. And I should also probably tend to my hunger at some point, shouldn't I? We still have no way of producing food ourselves and still just rely on getting our food from the odd forageable every now and then. So after I gather a bunch of bamboo to make into cloth for sandbags, decided that's what we need to take care of next. Not after scanning a poisonous mosquito to learn ourselves the Venom Serpent, an upgrade which will let us infuse our attacks with poison. Interesting. Oh yeah, these mosquitoes. I mentioned them in the start of the video, but they will basically spawn from the stagnant water pools during monsoon season and are really incredibly annoying, since they poison you to no end. Thankfully though, we're playing as a robot, so all they do is their 3 HP damage attack every now and then, proving to be nothing more than a slight annoyance rather than a problem. If anything, it only proves to be a good thing, since the poison mosquito sacks that they drop heal a whopping 20 health instead of the typical 8. Our poison immunity also means these weird farting stink rays physically cannot do anything to harm us, giving us a free source of monster meat whenever we need it. But due to our lack of crockpot right now, monster meat won't be any use for us as of yet. No matter. I spent the rest of the night of day 8 and the morning of day 9 by harvesting more coral. Now, coral isn't going to keep us fed like I said we should be focusing on, but it will let us make a tar extractor on that tar stick I found a few days ago. Now, we are producing tar. But, not food. Watching back this footage is actually crazy with how close to the wire I was playing with my hunger. So much so that I just end up eating a raw dolphin. The things we need to do to survive. This does give us another dorsal fin, just in case we want to make another waterproofing circuit, however. My plan now is to go back to the Jimbo Marsh Spider Volcano Island to gather some important resources, namely silk and flint, to further secure our survival. So right after witnessing the joy of parenthood, I eat some yummy yams growing in a nearby grassland biome and fight a couple of spiders to try and get some silk. We'll be good on food with all of these sweet potatoes growing nearby, but we're not going to be good on the monsoon that just kicked up again right before day 10 arrived. Fun times. Thankfully, as we saw earlier, the waterproofing circuit and snakeskin jacket are going to be enough to keep us dry during this rain, but it does mean our inventory is going to be slashed in half whilst we do so. So basically, we're kinda stuck on this island until the rain stops, unless we want to leave our backpack behind. I decided staying here was the better option since I still needed silk. So after I crafted myself a poison damage upgrade with the glands dropped by a mosquito, got back to work hunting spiders, poison style. Whilst the poison upgrade will let us do more damage, it also means that any meat that drops from the things we kill has a chance to drop as spoiled thanks to the poison ruining it. Again, not really the biggest of deals since it's just monster meat and that's not too useful for us since we don't have a crockpot, but it does offer a downside to the circuit's otherwise pretty decent upside. Once I get the silk and a couple extra bits of gold, I explore the island during this horrible monsoon some more, even finding ourselves a lure plant, because don't forget, monsoon season is just super spring. Whilst I'm dashing around this island like a mad wet fool, I make sure to dig up any extra berry bushes I happen to find to hopefully relocate back to our base when we get the chance. All the while the snakes are fighting the monkeys and the spiders are fighting the birds. This island is an absolute mess. Good thing I didn't end up making my base here. I do also find the Terraria chest on this Nightmare Island and quickly snag the terrarium just in case we ever want to fight a big evil eyeball boss. Once day 11 hits, the rain finally starts to let up for a little bit, just enough for us to take our snakeskin jacket off, put our backpack on and sail back on home. Eventually it does finally stop raining completely however. I make sure to grab some tar from that tar extractor I ever diligently made while starving and finally touched back on home. My sanity drained, but body completely dry. Also, our hunger wasn't doing too bad either thanks to those yams that we foraged. However, I did notice the puddles around my base were bigger than the last time we were here, so I decided I needed to get even more sandbags before it was too late, which meant venturing into the adjacent jungle to chop up some bamboo. But whilst it was a full moon, I decided to gather some charcoal, so that when day 12 arrived, I could finally make a crockpot. On day 12. You see, this is why I love Shipwrecked so much. It makes the early game survival oh so much harder and slower, even if we weren't playing on a stupid Monsoon only world. With our magical crockpot, we finally make our first meatballs of the video. We're officially in the big leagues now, folks. Boiled meat. Since I knew we had a bit more time until we'd get pelted with another Monsoon, I headed back on over to that coral reef biome to harvest some more coral. Who would have thought? But also some kelp to add to our diminishing food reserves, which would be especially helpful to have now that we can actually cook food. Even though we have a crockpot, we still won't have any way of getting an icebox anytime soon, so any food we'll get would have to use really fast. The coral, on the other hand, that I gained was used to make some super important limestone that we could then combine with the tar we got from the tar extractor to get ourselves my favourite thing in Shipwrecked, the sea yard. This beautiful thing? This is a dream come true. So long as we feed it with tar from the extractor we have nearby, it will slowly automatically repair any and all boats that we park near it. Meaning that we don't gotta rely on the ever cumbersome boat repair kits for everyday damage anymore. A huge increase in quality of life. Just like how I finally made myself a net to catch a rainbow jellyfish to turn into that illumination circuit. Now, on top of being slightly waterproof, we now glow in the dark, meaning we don't ever have to worry about Charlie biting our finger ever again. Lovely jubbly stuff. I did take out the venom circuit at this point too, since I wanted to keep any meat I got fresher, and to make sure that the illumination circuit wouldn't be at the very top of my circuit order, meaning it would discharge immediately if we got wet. Things are really starting to look incredibly good for us now. Within the span of a few days, we got a decent little base, some protection against flooding, a way to keep our boat in tip-top shape, and immunity to darkness. It's not going to be the best way to navigate the night since we can't see whatever horrible monster made these huge waves overnight, but it's still better than dying to darkness by a large margin, don't you think? On day 14, since we were doing pretty good with ourselves, I just explored the map in a place we haven't been to yet, to get all sorts of resources. Sand, twigs, grass, the basic but the essential stuff. Ideally I wanted to find more bamboo to increase my sandbags, which is most likely going to be more important now than ever since the rain has started again. Oh well. I should probably head back home now, but instead I decided to brave it a little bit longer with the grace period our waterproof upgrade is giving us to find more islands. And I would say that was a good call too, since we found a little island with plenty of bamboo on it that we oh so dearly needed. As well as a touchstone for an extra life, where we could also get a small amount of pigskin from by hammering the boar heads. Oh, how it upsets me that these heads only give one pigskin instead of the usual 2. Still, that's 4 football helmets we can make if we ever need them. On the night of day 14, we also finally got our first crocodile attack. Seriously, on day 14, that's absolutely ridiculous with how late that it's arrived. These are your typical run-of-the-mill hound attack replacements that you get in Shipwrecked. They act pretty much the same as those dogs, but can easily be stun-locked, unlike regular hounds. They do have some spicy variations we gotta look out for later on, but for now, we only got the basic ones. We took care of them with minimal injuries. All we had to worry about now was our sanity getting too low. Which, considering we got struck by lightning, which heals us but drains our sanity even more, means it might start becoming a problem very soon. I've had this swimming horror following me over the land for the last few days. I've kind of grown attached to him. His name's Billy, by the way. Either way, I had to get back on my boat and sail back to base as fast as I could, even though it meant taking off my snakeskin jacket. Cutting it very close to the wire, we do manage to arrive right before I start taking wetness damage, and see about setting up a proper sandbag perimeter around our base ASAP. Funnily enough, in Island Adventures, you don't have to worry about the water coming in from the actual ocean side, and you only have to worry about the water coming in from the puddles that spawn nearby. So as long as we cover these sides of our base, we should be mostly protected. Keyword here being mostly. Just like how these lure plants I planted around the base are also protecting us from the poison mosquitoes. Yes, I did do that on purpose. Yes, I am a genius, thank you for asking. Once I got that sandbag wall mostly set up, I dashed back to where I dropped my backpack and parked my boat before bringing them back to base where they belong. But of course, by this point, due to my wet equipment, I finally went completely insane and it was time to fight those crawling horrors. But it's no big deal. Nothing I ain't ever handled before. It's funny how most of these challenge videos always end up with me being completely casually insane for such a large portion of it. It was also at this point that I finally decided to make my first piece of armour a football helmet. This entire run up until now we were just taking hits directly to our very low HP body. With the weather finally dying down on day 16, I sailed back out to do a little bit of treasure hunting. I haven't been mentioning it too much, but I do occasionally find these messages in bottles that lead to treasure elsewhere on the map, and this one gives us a whopping 3 doubloons. However, I didn't really care what was in that chest, rather than how it was buried, because the 2 boards we get from hammering the chest is good, but not as good as the 2 bone shards we get from digging up the eggs. Yes, I lied to you. We didn't come out here to get buried treasure. We just came out here to get bone shards. Why bone shards? Because, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, I finally made a snakeskin hat. I also, found some steamer trunks earlier whilst looking for that bone shard with nothing in them, so just ignore those. This snakeskin hat doesn't have as much wetness protection as the jacket, but it's a head slot wetness protection item. Something we've been lacking this entire run. It's not the best head slot wetness protection item though, but I'm sure we'll get one of those next time. Right now though, we got a decent boat, a sea yard, a pretty little sandy base, and the ability to cook food. Not my proudest base considering all the junk laying on the floor and the absolute lack of berry bushes, grass tufts, bamboo and vines, but beggars can't be choosers when it comes to Shipwrecked. Give us enough time though, and I'm sure we're gonna have a massive, gorgeous, flourishing base. One last thing I ended up making was a little naming plaque for our boat. A brand new item added by Island Adventures that lets you, name your boat. But I have absolutely no idea what I could name my starting rowboat. Maybe you guys at home could help me. I want to get you guys involved in a series like this, so leave some ship names in the comments down below and I'll pick my favourites for next time. Because, well, for now, this is where this video ends. I'm trying something different now and seeing about splitting up these long form challenges into several smaller parts to help both pace myself so I don't get burnt out, but also so I can get these types of videos out to you faster to coincide with my weekly upload schedule. Comment, wow Ash, this WX Shipwrecked series sounds like a great idea. I would love to see more, close parentheses, if you'd like to see part 2 of this series. We may have a cute little base set up, but we still need to tackle food production, preservation, and of course, killing all sorts of big wacky bosses in this wet nightmarescape. Let me know if you want to see more of that. There's still a lot more we have to do in this series. Hopefully we'll be able to continue it, just like all of those other little video series I said I would continue. Oh, I'm so sorry. But for now, thank you for watching everybody. I hope you have a lovely day or night. Take care. Bye bye.